Hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm super excited to introduce you to our guest. Her name's Katya, and I connected with her through Selena Sue, who is one of my mentors, someone who I'm in her mastermind, and she's a really, really inspiring business owner. And Selena is an introvert. It took a lot for her to really get comfortable being on camera, get comfortable doing live streams. So she did a lot of work, and she actually worked directly with Katya to help her get over her fears of being on camera. And when she did that, when she got over her fears, now she does video series, she does Facebook Lives, all kinds of stuff that helps her impact millions of people in her business. So when Selena recommended Katya, I was like, great, I've got to meet this woman. I'm super excited because I know there are so many estheticians out there who are struggling with hitting go on the social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but it's just this big fear. You don't know what to say. You're worried about how you're going to look or how you're going to be perceived or judged. And in this interview that I'm about to play for you guys, Katya gives you some really great tips on how to come up with content and what to do, how to shift your perspective if you're someone who's really worried about the judgment piece of it. So it's a wonderful interview. I hope that you love it. If you have any questions or you want to keep this conversation going, make sure you head over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and play that interview. All right, Katya, I'm so excited to welcome you to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast.
I'm so excited to be here.
So I was introduced to you or introduced to you by our common friend, Selena Sue, and she had so many good things to say about your ability to transform even the most shy or introverted people to move past their fears with video. And I know for our listeners here on the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast, there's so many estheticians that they know it in the core of who they are, that video and showing up on social media will really truly make a difference in their business and help them connect and reach the people that they want to reach, but they're terrified to push go. So I wanted to bring you on to share some of your wisdom and your insight into how we can help these women and these estheticians who have that just paralyzing fear of camera. Where do you think that comes from?
I think very often it comes from the fact that we've never done it before, or it comes from the fact that we have overthinking tendencies or perfectionist tendencies. So I remember growing up, I was a performer. I used to sing on stages and dance and things like that. And for some reason, I never really had a stage fright per se. But the idea of being on camera, I just had the thoughts of people are going to think I look fat. People are going to think I look ugly. For me, those were the real things that were worried. I was never worried that I was going to sound stupid, but I thought that I was going to give a bad experience on camera. Oh, I have to wear a lot of makeup. I'm sure every single one of you watching this can relate. And I remember that I was sitting in my bedroom in London at the time when I was living in 2015. And at that time, Periscope got super, super popular. And I was obsessed with watching other people's Periscopes, but I wasn't doing any for the reasons I mentioned. It was a fear of I'm going to look ugly and people are going to judge me for how I look. Very common for women. And I remember that the thing that got me to go live was I was forced by a group of friends while I was watching somebody else's Periscope. So we were chatting in the comments and somebody said, Katya, you go next live. We want to see you. And I go, no. This is terrible. It's 10 p.m. here. I'm in my t-shirt. No. And they're like, come on, just do it. We just want to see you. And I was just so scared. But then, because they just kept pushing me, and I very well respond to peer pressure. You peer pressure me, I will do anything. So I went live and I was shaking, and my camera wasn't working, so they could only hear me at the start. And then suddenly the camera worked, and suddenly they all started saying stuff like, "Oh, so good to see. It's so good to put a face to a name," and they all started just being very positive about it. And after that day, I realized that the thoughts that I had about how bad it would be to go live, like people are going to think I'm ugly, people are going to think I need to be perfect, I don't have the right equipment, I don't have a good lighting, those things nobody cared about. I realized that people on the other side of the screen didn't care about. And in fact, I got such a positive feedback that I thought, you know what? I'm probably going to do it again. So I really think that's where it's coming from. But for somebody who teaches video, I wanted to share the fact that I was once bloody terrified of it. So,
but it's interesting because I'm here looking at you. You're a beautiful woman. So it's one of those things that those are like things inside of us. Like everybody has their own insecurities. Everybody has their own things. And but there's such a deeper level of connection. I mean, even with the podcast here doing this, I always record on video, and I use the video because I like it, but it's just such a deeper, more authentic conversation when I can see you and be here and feel like we're just, sitting in our living rooms chatting than if we were just on the phone. Because if you're on the phone, you end up like, I don't know about you, but if I'm on the phone, I'm doing 500 other things and like chasing around the house.
Yeah.
So your energy is not totally focused there.
Yeah. And you say about the feeling beautiful and looking beautiful. It's so true how a lot of us don't really think, but let's assume that for some people, it's the idea of showing up without makeup is terrifying. There's a reason I actually showed up on this call without wearing makeup. Like I wanted to just be supernatural, and I've gotten comfortable over the years to doing that. Nowadays with social media platforms, Zoom, everything, there's so many filters now you can put on. Zoom has like a nice beauty filter you can put on. So there's so many things you can do to help you be comfortable as well. So, but it's definitely inner thinking. And the two biggest things that I see people struggle with is they overthink what they're going to say, so they end up not showing up at all. Or they think it has to be perfect before they do it. Perfect equipment, perfect lighting, perfect makeup, perfect outfit, perfect backdrop. And until they have all that, they can't do it. So those are the two biggest things that I see people use as an excuse to not do it.
And just for a reality check for anyone watching this video, right now I'm doing this call in my living room with no microphone. It's the microphone on my Mac computer. It's the camera from my Mac computer. My daughter is in the background screaming that you can hear her. I have lighting from a window. So I have zero stuff. And most of you would never have known that if I didn't tell you ahead of time. It sounds better when you have a mic and when you have your good lighting and all of that. But at the end of the day, were any of the people watching this video judging me because the sound or the way that I looked at them, my lighting wasn't perfect or whatever? I don't think so. They're listening to what it is that you and I are saying, to how it can connect with them on a deeper level and help them go over this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, think about it this way. If you're in a jungle and if you're like super hungry and you can't find any food, and then you stumble across a fruit on a tree, are you going to like sit there and think if is it perfect to eat this or not? Or are you going to take it? Like that's how I see it with us showing up in our videos. It's, if people out there need your content and if they need your help, they're going to consume it no matter how it looks like. They're not going to sit and think, oh, this backdrop, not good enough for me to consume this video. So I'm not gonna. If what you talk about in the video is important to somebody, especially with beauty and things that people are actively trying to improve, and maybe even searching for an esthetician, or maybe even searching for solutions to the problem, they're not really going to care if you are perfect yourself. If anything, a lot of the times, I mean, this is just a guess, but I would assume that a lot of people may feel insecure sometimes going to a spa if they don't look perfect, because they think that everybody else there looks perfect. Like, well, I don't look perfect, so everybody else in the spa there is going to look perfect, so therefore I'm not worthy to go. But if you show up authentic and you show up in your non-perfect way of looking, people might actually think, oh, this is a safe place to go. This is a non-judgmental place. It's not a gotta be perfect looking kind of place,
I think that, for estheticians, it's kind of, there's a different side to it where we almost feel, and I'm generalizing this, but I felt this way often in my life, and I know that there are other estheticians who have, is that we have to have perfect skin. Otherwise, we're not good enough at what we're doing. Like if we're an esthetician and we have pimples or acne or pigmentation or something that we can't control, then we're not a good esthetician. And so I think that has been an obstacle that a lot of estheticians face, or at least I have faced that, because when I was 23, I'm 38 now. When I was 23, I got off birth control and I got the worst pimples. It was just like hormonal shifts. And it's really not when women shift off of birth control, but my cheeks were actually scarred to the point where I had to do lasers and chemical peels and all this stuff. And I was so insecure at my ability of being an esthetician when it was actually a hormonal issue going on in my body. But I remember that. And if I think back to my time at 23, being a new esthetician, having my cheeks look like that, I was so insecure that, social live video was not a thing back then. So I never had to deal with that stress, but I still remember, like, I was nervous for people even sitting on the side of me. And that's kind of what I relate to, is what these women must be going through. But I also feel like your story gives you power. So the fact that I have experienced that, and now that I have gotten through that and been able to just, like, I can empathize with patients who have acne and do that. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because estheticians in general are such loving, caring people that want to help you and nurture you. And, they're very much in the caregiver space.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah.
So, all right. So for these women who are such caregivers, such lovers, and such nurturers, I will tell you, they're very, very talented, intelligent women, because the amount of information that they have to know, especially if they're solo estheticians, they have to know the chemistry of skincare products, the anatomy of the skin. They have to have the emotional intelligence to connect with people, and the business skills to run their business. So there's a lot of knowledge up there, and there's a lot of skill up there that they're very talented individuals. But oftentimes they say, well, I don't know what to say. Well, I don't know. And my response, and I would love to hear like what you say on this or your advice on this, but I always say, look, you're talking to probably 7 to 10 patients a day. What do you say to them? Like, what are the most common questions that you get? Just hop on, and answer those questions. Mm-hmm. So what would be your advice if you had an esthetician coming into your business? It's like, how do you approach that?
Well, the first thing they have to realize is that the thought in their head that says, I don't have anything to say, is, first of all, not true. It's not that you don't have anything to say. It's just that you're not sure what to say in that particular video. You don't know what to choose because you know too much. If anything, you know you have too much to say. Okay? So first reframe it and realize that you have too much to say. The second thing that I personally do that has helped me a lot is that I search for opportunities to talk about something, everything I do in my day-to-day life, including client conversations, my environment. So I'll give you an example. I'll be on a client conversation, and let's say the client will be struggling with a particular issue. I could go live after and share, hey guys, for anybody struggling with this particular issue that I just had a client that was struggling with, and you don't have to mention names and you don't have to go into specifics or breach any client confidentiality, but it's just in generic. So like if I have a client who is struggling with the idea of going live, I'll just go live and say, hey guys, for those of you that are scared of going live, I wanted to give you a little tip that I just gave my client who has the same issue, who then went on, implemented a tip, and she overcame that. And I can turn that into content. And then the other thing I do is and this is very creative. For those of you that are more creative and you like to interact with your physical space and the environment, what you can do is you can walk around you can see what's around you, and you can use any prop that you have to turn it into a piece of content. So let's improvise. I'm not prepared, so I'm just going to improvise. Okay, so I have a pink bottle here. It says chilies. Okay, so I can have this pink bottle, and I say, you know what? Going live in your business sometime is like a water bottle. If your bottle is empty, there's nothing that can come out of it. But if you constantly fill up the bottle with water, you're always going to have something to drink. The same way in your content, if you have a constant flow of ideas, like if you write down every single idea for content that you have, then your bottle of content ideas will never be empty. So you can have.
What I love about what you just said, I'm thinking of how to relate this to spa.
Yeah.
Is so what, like if you had a client conversation, right, and then you popped on, you could easily hop on live and say, "You guys, I just had one of my favorite patients or favorite clients come in. They've been struggling with acne for X, Y, and Z time. We've been using these products and their skin looked so amazing. So if you're someone who struggles with acne, this is, the SkinCeuticals Blemish Plus Age is my favorite spot treatment for that." Or just making it like you're telling a story.
Yeah.
And that I think is super helpful. I love that. I wouldn't have ever thought of that. And that's a really easy way to come up with content. And the thing is, what I do and what it's worked for me is I say, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Yeah.
If I go live.
Another thing that you can consider is if you ever go to YouTube, YouTube is a great place where you can search what people are already searching for in your industry. So let's say that you do want more patients and more clients who are struggling with acne, then you can go on YouTube and you can search, like if I went right now on YouTube, and let's say I searched acne, just the word acne. Let's see what comes up. Acne skincare routines. Perfect. So I'm going to do a video on my favorite acne scare routine that I give to every single one of my clients, or every single one of my even like I use myself, and that helps me have healthy, glowing skin, even in even when you change the climate, even when you go traveling, or even when you get out of certain pills or anything like that. So that's another way you can do it. I literally just typed acne skin care, and then there's acne skincare products, acne skincare routines. Don't be afraid to just use existing free tools that are out there that you can use to do that with. So
your methodology is really to come up with your content ideas. So make a list first, use YouTube, use Google, find out what your clients are searching for, make a list of ideas, and then just kind of schedule those ideas, like put them on your calendar and just go for it. What happens? What happens?
So that's for the people who are like, I have nothing to say. I'm just want to show them that there's that you can always have something to say. For people that want more of a structure, I do have a process. I call it a content hamburger formula that I use for creating. You can create like a whole month worth of content in like 15 minutes. And the way that I do it is I imagine a real hamburger or a veggie burger, if you're into that. And you want to imagine that you have your buns and you have all the cheese and the sauces and the patty and everything in there. And what you want to do is you want to start with the buns. You want to have the foundation of your burger. So what you're going to do is you're going to write down the 7 most common questions that you get asked, or the 7 questions that you got asked last. So those are going to be the buns of your hamburger, the 7 questions, and you're just going to write them down. So, what does it mean if I have acne? What product should I use for dry skin? Like, what are the common questions that you guys get? And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at those questions and you're going to turn them into titles. So instead of it being a question, which is, what should I do for dry skin? You turn it into a title that says, 3 tips or 4 tips to do to help your dry skin so that it can become more healthy and glowing, for example, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that one bun and you're going to put the slices in. What you're going to do is you're going to take that title that we just created and you're going to split it into 4 different steps or parts. So, 4 steps of creating 4 steps of overcoming dry skin and having a healthier glowing skin.
So like cleanser. Here's a perfect cleanser for dry skin. Here's
part 1 could be cleansers. Part 2 could be
serums. And then part 3 moisturizers. Part 4 sunscreens or something like that.
So you took one burger and you put all the toppings inside and suddenly you created 4 videos, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to do that for all the 7. You're going to, step 1, write the questions. Step 2, turn the questions into headlines. Step 3, break down the headlines into 4 to 5 different steps. And by the end of the process, which is going to take you 15 minutes to do, you're going to have 4 times 7. That's 28 days worth of content that you guys can take, which is super, super fun. So,
So now what about the people, they know what to say, they freeze when the camera goes on?
Okay. So this is something that I get asked on stage all the time. And this same rule applies for stage and camera. Whenever I now go on camera or on stage,
you pretend everyone's in their underwear?
Pretend that you're going on camera. Whenever I'm thinking of going live, if I feel myself getting jittery or frozen, this is what I ask myself. I ask myself, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? If the answer is I don't want to do it because I just don't want to, then you don't actually have to do it. If somebody's telling you have to and you feel like you actually just don't want to do it, that's okay. Now, if you don't want to do it because you're scared, that's not okay. Okay, there's a difference between I am a woman that knows what I want and I just know that I don't want to be on video. I just know that's not something that I want. I don't want that. But if I really want to do it, but I'm frozen, this is what you have to remember. If you go live and all you think about is how you look, what people are going to think of you, or you're giving a bad experience, that's a very selfish way to look at the idea of going live and showing up for your people. It's a very selfish way because what you're saying is, I am the most important person in the picture, and if I do this, that's going to hurt me. It's going to ruin my reputation, or I'm going to look bad, or I'm going to look stupid. That is a very selfish way of looking at things. And I know that none of you guys who are such caring people and such genuine, loving people who want to help others. I know that's not how you are. I know that's not your natural. Your natural isn't to be selfish. So what I want you to think about is I want you to think, who out there is hurting right now that really needs you? Who out there has a painful problem that can help them? And let's just forget about the surface level. Okay, you have acne, that's a problem, sure, from a health perspective, but what does it mean when a woman has an acne? How does that affect her emotionally? Do you
it's
know
huge.
how many women out there with acne feel like they're not worthy to have love and be in a relationship? How common is that? So instead of thinking of, oh, I'm going to look bad and I'm going to be this, I want you to think of that woman in your head, that woman out there who has been single for 5-6 years and doesn't feel worthy to be in a relationship because of that skin condition or because of that issue that she has. And if you showed up and you shared the one thing that can make the biggest difference in her life, and you can help her fix that, and then she can go on and have a healthy life, healthy relationships, be more confident, and you've changed her life. Now I want you to imagine, what would it look like if you never showed up for that woman? That woman will be stuck for another 1, 2, 3, 5 years. So I want you to think of the responsibility that you have as an expert and as somebody who is doing something that helps others. If you were selling a product, if you were selling a product that's helping corporations of some sort, and I can't think of a good example right now, but if you're not doing something that helps people directly, I can understand how you may not really have that emotional connection and not care so much.
Estheticians they truly are impacted because we say we sell confidence. I mean, that's what all the time. It's like when you yes, you relax. Yes, you do the superficial skin health, which is really important. But the bigger picture is, how are you changing that person's life? Even if you're at a resort spa and they're on vacation and they're like treating themselves to a facial, it's still like, you have no idea what was going on in that woman's life. You have no idea if she has like 4 kids and this is the first time she's done anything for herself in 10 years, or, it's like, that is such a gift to be able to give someone relaxation, to be able to clear someone's skin and let them show up. And I always say, like, you don't know if they're going to go after a promotion. You don't know if they're going to just show up for themselves or their kids in a different way, their families in a different way. It truly is impacting the world in a positive way. And is that more important than you worrying about someone who may or may not say something about the way that you show up on video?
Like, and even if they do say something, because there's the other argument. A lot of women worry about the idea of having trolls and having people that are going to come in and be mean to them and something like that. Even if there are people out there that do criticize you and that do say something, what's the worst case scenario? What is the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, a weird comment's going to pop up. You're going to block it, move on. And the people that are there ready to listen and learn, they're going to stick around. They're going to listen and learn. They're not going to, there are trolls in the comments, so I'm out. If anything,
newsflash, what I've noticed, it will happen. Yeah. And it's not the end of the world. Like, yeah.
And if anything, here's one interesting one that I've noticed over the years is, when you have critics, whether they criticize you fairly or unfairly, when you have critics online, especially with your videos, your loyal people that eventually will become loyal to you the more they watch you, they're going to step up and they're actually going to defend you. And that's actually such a nice feeling to be, oh my God, there are people that care, and there are people that listen to me, and there are people that defend me against those trolls. So actually, you're going to realize that you are gradually building a strong community of others that really value you. Because let's be honest, that's everything that I'm sure every esthetician, that's all they ever wanted, just to be valued for their knowledge, for their care.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the women that I work with closely, their mission is to really create a community. They want to be a pillar in their community that they can give back, and that women can feel safe and beautiful and learn about, it's really about creating a pillar in their community. And that is, like, that's such a powerful thing, because just like we were saying, it does impact on so many different levels. And showing up online, sharing your expertise. There's, like, I think when you're so close to it, like estheticians, they know so much about skincare. We think everybody knows the difference between a chemical sunscreen and a physical sunscreen. We think everybody knows the difference between a serum and a moisturizer. We think, it's just like, well, duh, of course you know what antioxidants are. But, like, no, you still have clients come in and say, well, if I eat blueberries, does that mean that I'm getting my antioxidants? Like, yeah, okay, you're getting them for your health, but not for your skin, And these are things that to estheticians are totally, we don't realize the knowledge that we have. And there's a lot of advertising with, the oils of Olay of the world and the Neutrogenas and these, like, brands that have huge advertising budgets, and share not necessarily the correct information all the time, So yeah, it's really just shifting your perspective, I think. And the first step's always the hardest.
Definitely. And listen, if you're even after all those tips, you're like, oh, I still don't know what to talk about. Just ask somebody, what are they struggling with? Like, I can tell you, I am 27. So, I'm considering myself quite young. So I don't really think I have anything wrong with my skin right now. But there's things I wonder about, like, well, it looks good, but how can I make sure that it stays like that? I also travel a lot, so I always wonder, what can I do to make sure that when I change humidity all the time, that it doesn't suddenly break out. Another thing, a couple of weeks from now, I'm speaking on stage in Colombia. Something that I wonder in my head is, well, how do I make sure that I take care of it properly so that by the time I get there, that it is looking good when I'm on stage. So think about what the three things I just said.
A ton of topics for us.
I just gave you a ton of topics. So go ahead, create these. Tag me when you create them. Tag me, because I want to watch them and I want to watch your tips.
Yeah, what to do? Yes.
Here's a challenge. If you're up to it, go on Instagram and literally you can create a video up to 10 minutes and you can upload it on Instagram now with IGTV. Just go ahead, do it, and then tag Danielle and me on Instagram so we can see it. Like, literally, I want to see your tips.
The power of social media. It's amazing.
If you search for my name, you'll find me. I really want to. I want to see you guys.
So tell everyone where they can find you and follow you, because we'll include the links under here in the show notes. But how can they share their skincare tips?
So it's very easy. I'm live stream Katya everywhere. LIVESTREAMKATYI. So if it's on Instagram, you just tag live stream Katya, or on Facebook or wherever. But if you have some skin tips for someone like me that, wants to prevent and have a good skin, even in 20, 30 years down, I want to have skin like Daniela in 10 years, please. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Good skincare and lots of light and laser treatments. But I will tell you that flying dehydrates your skin big time. And not this year, but last year, the longest stretch that I was home was for 3 weeks. And so I was traveling constantly with a newborn, which was insane. My daughter's 2 now, but it was her first from 4 months to 14 months. Was the most insane travel schedule of my life. And my skin paid for it. I had to completely change the products that I was using, because every time you go on a plane, it just it's so dehydrated. So
there you go. You just created a video.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that fact that every time you go on on a plane, your skin dehydrates. This is the one thing I want you to take away. This is a quotable, a tweetable, an Instagrammable. What's common sense to you is not so common sense for your clients, because if it was common sense to them, they would never have to be clients.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And, yep. What's common sense to you isn't common sense to everybody. Seriously. That's what you just told me there is probably common sense. Was not common sense to me. I did not know that. And that explains why I am quite dehydrated very often, because I've been on like 30 flights this year already. Yeah. And I have 4 more coming in the next 30 days. So actually 8, because it's there's a stopover. So that's 8 flights.
So Katya needs your help, estheticians.
but I only consume video content. Conveniently. I don't read posts. I watch videos. So.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has been super helpful. I know, I want to see some videos out there from our community helping Katya with her travel skin. But really, thank you so much. I think this has been extremely, extremely helpful.
Thank you so much for having me.